The Toyota Save Mart 350 around Sonoma Raceway in sunny California was on this weekend, guys. But what did we learn from this weekend's NASCAR Cup Series events? Let's dive in as always, guys, with the 5 things that we learned from this weekend's NASCAR Cup Series event. So, as we expected, Shane Van Gisbergen was going to be very strong around this track. He got pole position and he's riding a crest of confidence at the moment. Of course, coming off of that win around Chicago last time out, he was again around a non-oval, this time a proper road course rather than a street circuit, and he was dominating the early stages of this one. He was a full 7 seconds ahead of the chasing pack in the closing stages of stage 1. However, because of the pit strategy, he chose to pit late on and give up that lead. Ross Chastain then won stage 1 as he did not pit, but SVG was still in second place despite making a pit stop for new tyres and a refueling of his gas tank. So very, very impressive from him. And interestingly as well, it was a similar story in stage 2. SVG led ahead of Chase Briscoe in the closing stages of this one, but of course he later pitted. But predictably, SVG did stop again for the same reasons he did at the end of stage 1. Better tyres and better fuel strategy at that point. Briscoe also stopped as well. And that meant that Kyle Larson was actually leading going on to the last lap. But SVG with a full gas tank and some new tyres on his car, he was absolutely flying up behind Kyle Larson, and unsurprisingly he got past. A bit of contact from the two of them. Rubbing is racing after all. That was a bit more than rubbing. That was a decent knock there, but SVG was absolutely unstoppable. Larson could not prevent him from overtaking him, and that meant that SVG won stage 2 despite making a pit stop late on in that one. Third thing that we learned is that everybody was being really well behaved. I don't think there was any real cautions of note at all in stage 1 or stage 2, but it all changed in stage 3. Different strategies, everybody going for the big points at the end of the race meant there was more on the line and more drivers likely to get their elbows out. It all started with Ryan Blaney and Chris Buescher. Blaney going out wide onto the grass and getting caught as a result as well. He got beached and was unable to continue, unfortunately, with that one. And then immediately after, I don't think it was actually in relation to Buescher and Blaney, but Denny Hamlin spun around, Bubba Wallace spun around. He almost hit Denny Hamlin when he was rejoining. Don't want to hit your co-owner effectively one of your bosses at that point, even though just drive for a different team, of course. But the fourth thing we learned is that there was a few really scary incidents in this one. I'm not talking about the big pileups, don't worry. There were plenty of big pileups very late on in this one where the order got absolutely changed around. Again, everybody wanting to get those positions. Cautions, making more cautions. It's just the way NASCAR is, of course. But yeah, concerning incidents, the first one for Cody Ware, who rejoined after going into the pits on new tyres, but unfortunately one of them was not fitted correctly. A lug nut was loose, the wheel came off, and somehow nobody hit it. I couldn't actually see who almost hit him. It was a white car, that's all I saw. It was just a blur, really. Nobody managed to hit that loose tyre, which again, that would have caused some serious damage if they did, of course. But yeah, concerning that a driver gets sent out onto the track without all of his wheels properly attached, and also concerning too for Michael McDowell. McDowell was challenging for the lead in these late stages, but he had a refueling, and some of the fuel basically just caught fire as it was being refueled. So again, scary incident. In the end, of course, it was all alright, nobody hurt and everything. The pit crew did see that was put out as soon as possible. But yeah, not something you normally see in NASCAR these days, but the dangers, of course, still very much being there in the top echelon of the stock car racing series. But yeah, the last thing we learned, unsurprisingly, you already knew this was coming really from the first part of this race, even before then, even when he got pole position. SVG, unstoppable, dominant around a road course. His 3rd victory of the season. He has the joint most victories of anybody in the NASCAR Cup Series this season so far. He joins Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, and Christopher Bell on 3 victories so far this season. He claims back-to-back victories as well. The first guy, I believe, since Bell to actually manage that right at the start of the campaign. And because of that, he will enter the playoffs, really, as a driver who has a big boost in terms of points. He could make a decent run deep into that competition in the postseason. Speaking of competitions as well, I will bring you a little update going over the in-season challenge, who is looking good, who plays who in the next one. Of course, we head to Dover next, so this is not going to be a road course or a street course, so you would expect normal service to resume. But right now, SVG, he's sipping the wine, he's having a good time, and this was an entertaining race. It always is around Sonoma. Great race this weekend, I think. Guys, what do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. Like, share, comment, subscribe as always if you want to see more like this on the world of NASCAR and much more. And yeah, have a great day, guys. See you very soon.